Ohio State of Mind podcast, hosted by Josh Keeley and Chris Ryan.
Oh, and welcome back to the Ohio State of Mind podcast. It is Monday, the 5th of May. We're out of April. We're back into May. April showers bring May flowers. Do they still say that?
I think
that's
that's
still
yeah.
Still a thing? I don't know how. What's the rain like in Ohio? Are you guys getting
terrible? It's rained every day for like a week straight.
Julian, are you in Zanesville?
I am.
Did you see the Captain D sign?
Oh, is it in shambles right now?
It's just gone. Someone
Really?
told me last week that the wind was like 80 miles per hour, and I work in insurance. That's my day job.
Okay.
So I was like, no, it wasn't. That's like hurricane strength wind.
Right. Yeah.
And then I'm driving, no one's lost their roof or anything. I'm driving down Maple, and the Captain D sign's just gone. And I'm like,
That's hilarious.
Yeah.
I was at a golf event today for a charity golf event, and so I wasn't in Zanesville like for most of the day, but I came back probably like an hour ago, and it just like poured the entire time from the time I hit Zanesville to the time I hit my house, just poured. And it's still pouring.
Yep. It's been like that a week straight, Chris. So.
Oh, okay. Well, hey, Julian here's already getting shout outs. Julian, what's up? Will, hey guys, what's going on? Hey, and then our homie Doug. I like the video, shared it on the Book of Face, Facebook. I love it.
Hell yeah.
So
can I say something real quick?
Please. Yes.
Jeremy, get out of here, dude. Get out of here, bro. Julian's got an autograph signing coming up, and you're gonna undercut cards that I'm trying to buy from children. I know what you're gonna do, Jeremy. Get out of here. I don't want you here, bro. He got a sweet Josh Simmons numbered to 9, one of those on it cards.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about, Julian? And he got it for like $70. It's on eBay for like $5. I don't think he sold it, but there's another one on eBay for like $500.
Well, dude. Jeremy's come back. He said, "Hey, I've already put it in order for those cards."
Ooh,
and Julian, I think you got some family coming in here with a little bit of love.
Oh, hey, Mom.
There it is. So let's get the elephant. Address the elephant in the room. Despite all of Josh and my effort, our entire life, Julian, you've beat us to the White House.
Yeah. Yeah.
How was the trip?
So the White House was great. The hospitality was great. The
Yeah.
people we spoke to was great. The president was great. I'm not a political guy by any stretch of the imagination. I think it divides this country in ways it shouldn't, but I digress. I respect the absolute living crap out of the presidency. I don't care who's in office. And to be able to have that experience that only so many people on earth, have gotten to have is pretty special.
Where did you get access to?
So I don't even know. The White House is so big. I don't really know where we got access to. I just know that for like 3.5, maybe 2 hours, they're like, hey, you can walk around. Just don't go on this staircase or this staircase, but the rest is like free reign. And so I don't know exactly where in the White House I got to. A lot of valuable, timeless artifacts I got to see, though. I got to see Secret Service, which, I'm in school for criminal justice, so seeing them was super cool. There's probably a bunch of people that are on the news every day that I pass that I have no idea who they are because I don't watch the news. It was super cool, super amazing. Like I said, so truly blessed to have an experience that not many people get to have.
So you said there was 2 staircases blocked off. That sounds like
yes, sir.
That sounds like the plot of Beauty and the Beast. So my question is, did you go up, find a rose, and then Trump kiss you or anything?
So actually, the bottom staircase, the day we were out there, which was that Monday, he was actually doing his, I don't know if it's his weekly, his monthly, daily, conference, his press conference.
That's kind of cool.
What he does. Yeah. And so we actually, a couple of us, I won't name names, but a couple of us were, being mischievous as kids do. And, when they say, hey, don't do something, obviously, our minds tend to wander off. And so we happened to get close to the staircase. We actually peeked over and saw him leaving what looked to be probably some sort of press obligation. That was cool.
That is cool.
Until they said, hey, you can't do that. We're like, oh, sorry, guys.
Gotcha.
So
they steered you back in line. Will,
exactly.
Hey, did you happen to get one of the president's Diet Cokes?
I did not get a Diet Coke. It was water, but I did take a couple of napkins from the White House. Yeah. What is it? I should have said hypothetically. I may or may not have taken a few napkins from the White House. So if anyone's watching from the White House, I'm sorry. But
Julie, do the napkins say White House on them, or are they just like Wendy's napkins?
They say the White House on them. Yeah.
They had some Chipotle napkins sitting about.
Right.
Yeah, no.
They're from the takeout you guys had. Like,
Right, exactly. No, it was cool. Unfortunately, we did not get takeout. A little jealous. I forget if I can't remember if that was Georgia or Clemson that got the takeout, the McDonald's.
The McDonald's.
Wow.
Yeah, little jealous we didn't get that. So like, hopefully if we go back to back and we get to go to the White House again, but I'm just throwing out suggestions.
Dude,
I'm
sorry. I was just gonna say I think it's cool how you handled that, and I think it's cool how the team handled it in general. Like you said, we're not going to get into politics, but I saw that there was a lot of hate online. There was a lot of positive stuff online too. Either way, but I think it's cool. It doesn't matter who's in the office. It's a very historical building. It's a historical event. It's what I mean. Like. Mm-hmm. I would have gone. Chris would have gone.
Not to throw any shade, but I didn't have any scheduling conflicts. So.
That's right. That's right. Okay.
I like that. So you guys are out there, and the president, the vice president are out there. They're telling you their congratulations, how great the team is. How close were you, or did you at least have an eyesight when the vice president realized that the trophy was two pieces?
Yeah, so actually, that's very funny. So where I was standing, I was actually on, I call it like the camera side when you do media. So like, because we were up and there was like a group of us in the middle, and then there were two groups like on the sides. And so I was on the
pause. I know what you did there.
He's showing that camera side right hand.
Oh yeah, camera side, and then he showed That's good.
Wow.
Chris, can we give a little clip? Can we clip that so we can?
Absolutely.
Just
got it. There it is.
That's the thumbnail, baby.
That is the next thumbnail. Absolutely.
Sorry for interrupting.
No, you're good. You're good. So I happen to be on the camera side. And when I don't know if you can see my reaction, it's recorded, but like when it happens, I sort of just like put my head like in my hands because I'm like, there's no way that the biggest Buckeye fan on the planet outside of maybe LeBron James and myself just broke the trophy. And then I had to be reminded, like, oh boy, like people can see this. So I better like keep a straight face. But
you know what's funny about that situation too is that Ryan Day, he's all over. He's been traveling with the trophy, right? He's
absolutely, yeah.
And the trophy is really this part, the whatever you call it, the vagina looking part. That it's heavy, right?
It is.
And then the base is also heavy, right?
Yeah.
And obviously, most people know that people that watch college football all the time, like Chris and I, we know that it's two pieces, but most people don't, right? I probably got, I don't know, I don't want to exaggerate, 50 texts that said, he broke it. Did he break it? How does this work? And I'm like,
he didn't break it, no.
But Ryan Day, throughout these other interviews, like when he's on Jimmy Kimmel and stuff like that, you can kind of see him anticipating that exact situation because if you watch, he's always the one people reach for it, and he's always the one like, no. And I kind of took it like, it's his baby. Like he wants to pick it up. But I think it's that kind of situation that he's been trying to avoid. Because as soon as he dropped it, you can see Ryan Day like sprint to like try to recover. Yes. You can just tell like he knew it was going to be an issue. He just couldn't say it.
Well, and then the other thing like people didn't even see, and I was talking to him after we were chopping it up, is people didn't even realize that like that base was like inches away from crushing Trey's foot. Oh, and I was like, that's a very expensive foot that might have just crushed.
The base is heavy too, right?
The base is
like
very
the base
heavy.
itself by itself.
The entire thing, I've held it a couple times. Like once just the trophy, a couple times with like the trophy. It is a very like it catches you by surprise for sure.
Yeah, because that you always see like I think when Devontae Smith grabbed when he was at Alabama, he was like, oh, it was like that heavy door.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like he's like, what is going on here? So that's super interesting.
We've got a lot of love in the chat here. Real quick, we've got who we got here, Julian?
That's my older cousin, actually, Justin. Hey. He lives in Columbus. What's up, cousin?
Love you, big dog. We got Doug. Yeah. I agree. It isn't the president; it's the presidency that makes it special. Absolutely, well said. Doug.
Amen to that.
Yeah, well said.
Very, very much so. Jennifer Curtis. Hey, Julian.
Hey,
look at you.
I will say though, and I never got the chance to hold one of these or hoist one of these, but like I feel like the CFP trophy, there's a lot less pressure holding it than there was the BCS crystal ball.
Even
But
you
that
can
one
secure
got
it.
dropped.
Yeah.
That one got dropped all the time, right, Chris?
Oh, it did?
Yeah, there were a couple instances
Oh.
I'm
that
pretty
sucker
sure-
got dropped. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm
Oh.
pretty sure that thing got dropped enough to where they had
Yeah.
like backups like behind them. You know
Oh,
what I mean?
yeah.
I'm pretty sure.
Oh,
I'm
because I
pretty
know,
sure.
like, if that thing gets dropped, it's night trophy gone.
College, that is my one critique about college football. It is the dumbest trophy. It's always pretty consistent. Like they look cool, but you have
They
to.
do.
It's kind of this. I mean, Chris, you watch way more all the sports than I do, don't you agree? It's kind of the goofiest trophy.
Hear me,
I mean,
hear me
most
out.
trophies have like a cup or a bowl too. I mean, even
Yeah.
the CFP got a cup.
Hear me out here. Stephanie Wallace, because you're great. Love your spirit. There's Stephanie for you. No, I would agree. We've seen Josh and I. We've seen so many iterations of the college football national trophy. We've seen different bowl games have their own thing. This, that, and the third. You've got such an array of trophies. Me personally, I think nothing beats the Stanley Cup. And I think that's definitely something that the weight could catch up on you. And the fact that, every series, there's no wild cards or buys. Every series is a 7-game series. And then even at the end of it, the commissioner calls the captain up, he gets the trophy, and then every single player gets to do their lap with the trophy. And that sucker is every bit of 70, 80 pounds. And they're skating with it,
Skating, yeah.
So,
Yeah, but it is a beautiful trophy. It's a beautiful trophy.
It is. I agree.
Leah Penn.
Hey,
love you. So we got to the White House. We're in DC. Do we see anything else? Monuments, sites, attractions?
We saw some monuments. It's funny. So we're at the Washington Monument, and you see a bunch of guys like nice suits, rings. We're in DC, mind you. So literally, I'm walking up the steps, and this nice couple comes up to me, very nice, very sweet. They're like, "Hey, we saw you guys. Are you guys the Washington Nationals?" I said, "No, man, we're not the Washington Nationals. We're the Ohio State Buckeye football team." And at first, she just sort of looked at me, and then she saw some couple notable names walk by, such as Coach Day, Jeremiah Smith, so on and so forth. And then she started to realize, oh, you guys are that Ohio State Buckeyes team.
There it is.
Yes,
There it is.
That's awesome. Did you take any inappropriate travel photos, Julian? That
not any inappropriate. I'd say the most inappropriate one I took, actually. I had the cell phone like this, and I had the rings held out, and so you could see the rings in the Washington Monument. And I sent it to a couple of my friends, girlfriend. I said what'd I say? Oh, I said 2 national treasures in one picture.
Okay, all right, that's cool.
Probably the most inappropriate picture I took.
I was going for a phallic photo with all the with the Washington.
Yeah, no, I took all appropriate pictures. So
that's good.
If anything ever got leaked, they could be like, "Hey, at least it was funny."
Yeah, you don't want to be like Caden Davis.
Exactly.
No
comment.
Doug Shepard jumps in. It's painfully obvious the VP hasn't picked up heavy objects very often.
Yeah, probably not. With his busy schedule, I probably don't see how he'd have time for a weight room or anything.
Raquel says Washington Nationals, Bucks. Much love, Julian.
I will say though, met Bryce Harper last year. His wife played soccer at Ohio State. Great guy.
Oh wow,
great guy. Yeah,
I did not know that.
Yep, great guy. Oh,
tutored her.
Really?
When I used to work at Ohio State, yeah.
Oh, really? That's interesting.
Bryce
Yeah. Great guy, great family.
They're from Utah, I think. Aren't they Mormon? I can't remember.
Something of the sort. So we take our trip to DC. How much time do you got before you come back to the Woody and we get into the spring ball?
So that's funny you ask that. We're on the flight back, right? The flight lands. We're on the tarmac. We're getting onto the buses. Everyone's phone lights up. Group message, Coach Mick. Hey, fellas. Offense 7:30, defense 9:30, Buckeyes. I said no. No.
Oh, wow.
I called my dad. I'm like, Dad, everything was great with the White House, but I got to go to bed. I can't stay up and talk about this all night. I get up and work out in the morning. So yeah, to answer your question, no time was taken, no rest for the weary. We were straight back to it as if nothing ever happened.
So, did you big time your dad? So you just got done meeting the president of the United States and touring the White House, and you broke into a presidential press conference, and your dad calls you to see how your trip was, and you said, Dad, I don't have time for this. I got practice in the morning. Is that what you're telling me you did?
Yeah, I did. I did big time my dad.
You said.
And if he was on here, which he can hear me because I'm in the kitchen and he's in his room. I know he can hear me. I have done that on more than one occasion. Like, he's the only person, and I feel bad because I do it to him constantly. Like to the point where, like, and I feel bad for saying this, to the point where, like, I know he knows where I'm at. Like, because it's a small town, you know that. Like, I'll be like at the local ice cream place, and he'll like pass by, and he'll call me, and like I won't pick up the phone.
dude, you're a dude, and your dad's not the only one. You're a celebrity around here, bro.
I guess so.
We were at the keys. He did this first signing over at Varsity Collectibles in South Zanesville, and there were a bunch of kids there. It was a great turnout, great showing. I've been to a lot of autograph signings, you know that. And there was a lot of people there, and these kids were buying these pack of On It cards. Specifically I saw one kid dump like $80. That's how I almost got the Josh Simmons. Jeremy, he got the Josh Simmons, and he went, "Oh man, and it's autographed, numbered to 9. It's $500 card." He goes, "Man, I wish I had Julian's card." And that's when I was like, "I got a Julian card."
Hey, do you want to trade?
It's a fair trade. They love you, man. They love you, bro, which is great.
Yeah,
you have another event coming up, and we'll get to that.
No, yeah, absolutely. No, it is great. It is great. But like one thing I do want to say is like, you know, like I'll be like great that you just mentioned that. I was at the mall a couple weeks ago, and I was walking through the mall. Like I'm just a regular person, right? So like if you want to come up and talk to me, like come on up and talk.
I'm just a regular person.
Yeah, I'm just a regular person. And there's these group of kids, and like you know how you can look at someone and you be like, I know who that is, but I don't want to like go up to them. Like we've all given that look to somebody before.
Yeah, oh yeah, for sure.
And they gave me that look, and I just felt bad, and I was like, all right, I know they're probably not going to come up to me, so I'll just go up to them. And like that made their day, and it made mine too. But it's just one of those things where like, if anyone from Zanesville was on here, I am a regular person. Like I am no different than the same 8-year-old pudgy fat kid that used to run around the high school because his dad was coaching football and his mom was the guidance counselor. Like I'm no different.
Well, don't you worry. If they don't know already, right before the show ends, we're gonna drop your adrass on the bottom line here.
Yeah, it sounds good. Sounds good. Yeah. My dad would like that a lot.
You gotta I do love that. It's hey dad, I'm sorry, but business on the other end. You know.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Lisa Pryor, love you.
Hey Lisa.
Hey, and mom again.
Oh hey, she said keep it legal.
So we come back. We're back in the Woody. We've got the banners raised, and you know, we see a lot of the Ohio State media outlets, what have you, coming out and saying, you know, hey, a lot of these, you know, returning players, like, hey, you know, hey, that was last year. You know, this is a new season. Yeah, we won it all. We won the the granddaddy of them all last year, but this is now this year. How is that? Is there an aura about the place? Is it's like, hey, it's day one of 365? Is it? If we turned the chapter on that, yeah, we've got our celebrations out, the confetti's fallen, and now it's business.
Yeah, we had a meeting of sorts. I'm not gonna name specifics, but we had a meeting of sorts where, you know, some of our leadership guys, and they make a great point, and I was 100% on board with this. You know, our leadership guys, they discussed like, hey, like they won the national championship, and then they're like, all right, stand up if you took a competitive snap in the national championship game. And like you look around the room and you don't see that many guys, you know what I mean? You see maybe 6 or 7 guys, and they're like, so yeah, we won. We're a part of it. Absolutely. Like, don't ever forget that.
No.
But as far as this team this year, you know, we didn't win the national. They won the national championship. It's our job to defend it. It's our right to defend it, but we didn't win anything. You know what I mean? Like we're not sick and tired of it because it happens year in and year out. But like this thing of like when people say, hey, you guys are going to run it back next year, or like, you know, just basically already writing us in red pen to go back to back. Yeah, I mean, we have immense talent all over the board, but so does every other team. So does Penn State. So does Texas. So does that team up north. Like teams that like want what we have. You understand? I'm not trying to lecture you guys. I'm sorry. That sounded so stern. Like you understand?
No, I love
I'm sorry.
I love it.
But it's just one of those things where like we as a collective group understand that like why, yes, the accomplishment we accomplished last year was great. It's just that last year's accomplishment. So this is a new year, a new theme, a new edge, new leaders, new people, new positions, not literally, but leadership wise and all that good stuff. So we do understand the importance of not getting caught up in the fact that we're the defending national champions, because we don't want to turn into the hunted. We still want to be the huntee or the hunter. So
let me ask you, Chris, do you want to ask a question real quick?
I was going to get to some of the chat here. Hey, Doug,
sure.
Hey, honest to goodness, he sounds like a regular guy. Hey, Julian is as genuine as they come. Also, he comes in. That's exactly how a team should approach the season. Absolutely. Yeah. And another loved one here. Love to see it. Proud of you, fam.
Yep.
Defend it.
Appreciate it.
Go ahead, Josh.
So I hate to bring this up, but I have to, and I'm sure that you've already seen it. You've watched the NFL draft, or at least chunks of it. Mm-hmm. I'm guessing you've probably seen the spring game highlights of the Michigan game, and probably you've seen your guys' spring game on TV and stuff. A common theme that keeps getting brought up is the Michigan game, right? Mm-hmm. Ohio State won the national championship, they won it all, but they lost to Michigan. Is that kind of, I don't know how to phrase it. Is that, it's obviously not a positive because the game was lost, but is that something that you guys are keeping in your back pocket to make sure you're not being complacent? Like, hey guys, there's still more out there. There is more meat on the bone from last year. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. It's something that Coach Day reminds us of, because like this is like the first group, I think, since I'm gonna just go out there and say I've been on this earth, and I was born in 2003. This is the first group that like there's nobody in the group, no matter if you're a fifth-year senior or a guy who just got here in January, that has a pair of gold pants.
Yeah, that's true.
This is the first group of coaches where the majority of the staff doesn't have a pair of gold pants. The only guys I can think of off the top of my head are Coach Marotti, Coach Day, Coach Johnson, Coach Hartline. That's it.
What about the kid that transferred from Michigan? What's his name again?
Oh, Joey Velasquez.
Velasquez.
Yeah. I don't know.
They don't give gold pants in Michigan.
Yeah, I don't know what they have. He does have a ton of rings, though, I will say.
That's right. Yeah.
Ton of rings.
He's double dipping the championship.
He is double dipping the championship. Great guy, though. Great kid.
That's a great point you bring up, though. I don't think that Josh and I, of all the years we've been following Buckeye football, just sit there and think of it, an entire team from freshman to senior, top to bottom, none of them have a pair of gold pants. I mean, John Cooper era, even, Josh. No.
This long, have they ever gone? I don't think so.
I don't think we've gone this long.
Yeah, because the 1 year, I mean, every
unless you're gonna count maybe the 10-year war, but I don't know.
I don't think anybody went that long.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, as if it might be a tender subject, but thanks for bringing that up, because that's something that I didn't really cross my mind, or I didn't begin to fathom really. So wow.
Yeah, we know it, and we hear it. Trust me, like we're still like at the end of the day, we're young adults. Like we have these things right here. We have them. Just because we choose not to do our talking through the media doesn't mean we don't hear it. We see. What's his name? Bryce Underwood. Going up to LeBron, telling him whatever, going on talk shows, saying whatever, I'm not here to proclamate or claim anything, because that's not my job. Ultimately the game is won and lost on the field in November. But we hear it, we see it, and we'll just let the actions speak louder than words, and we'll see how far those words will get come November.
That's fair.
Absolutely.
That's fair. Beautiful.
No, absolutely. So we're back in the Woody. We've addressed the new what do I want to call this?
Decorations.
The new decorations.
Yeah.
The new decorations in the Woody. But now you're looking to your left and right. You're not only seeing, just like every year, you're seeing an influx of new teammates, but now you're seeing an influx of new coaching. Can you speak on any of that?
Yeah. Coach Day told us, actually, when we were still in our playoff run that, what do you call it? He called it something like, he called it champagne problems.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
There's champagne like it's first world problems. You have a great team, you have a great staff, you're gonna get them plucked either via the NFL draft, other teams, coming to get your guys because everyone wants a piece of the success. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Competition breeds success and vice versa. Without the iPhone, there's no Galaxy. Without Powerade or without Gatorade, there's no Powerade.
Yeah.
So, so on and so forth. Without Coke, no Pepsi, yada, yada, yada. You get the point. So, we understand it that we knew that there's probably going to be some major changes, not even just with the players, but with the coaching staff. And we were prepared for that. And we had full trust and full confidence in Coach Day to bring the best of the best into the Woody because, who doesn't want to come to a place like Ohio State? Because coming to a place like Ohio State as a coach can do so many different things for your coaching career and success. If you're a coach trying to maybe jump back into the league, we can do that. If you're a coach trying to just get a start and be a household name, we can do that too. So we weren't at all worried. It was sad because, you develop relationships and rapport with these coaches, but at the end of the day, it is a business too. And we understand that. And that was told, in the recruiting process that, because he's your offensive coordinator now might not mean he's your offensive coordinator when you graduate. So we knew those changes were coming, but it was just a confidence thing that we knew that Coach Joe was going to bring the best, that you could go out there and get.
Well, I guess that brings me to one of my questions. Last time we spoke, you didn't really have Justin Fry just left. I don't think Ohio State had a replacement. Now they have three coaches that have very, very extensive offensive line experience. And Tyler Bowen, who was an offensive coordinator, is now an offensive line coach for Ohio State. Obviously, Chris and I are on the outside. These resumes are extremely impressive. We were both very excited with all three of these guys being additions. What is your experience like with those? What's the difference between his coaching style or their coaching style, I should say, and what Justin Fry provided?
So it's funny you ask that, and I don't mean this in a rude way. Coach Fry was great. Do not get me wrong. Loved him. His coaching staff brought me in as far as his assistants and stuff that he had under him. So I'll never have anything bad to say about Coach Fry, but I would say the differences in their coaching styles is, Coach Fry came in and he was trying to get us over the hump. You know what I mean? Yeah. So we're trying a whole bunch of things. We're doing a whole bunch of different things. They all work. Don't get me wrong. It's not like he was just making us do things that didn't work or weren't going to help us succeed. But Coach Bowen, his approach and his philosophy has been hey, literally, I remember him. We one of the first meetings we had. He came in and said, "Hey, a few months ago, I was watching you guys on TV. You weren't watching me, so I'm not going to come in here and fix and change and overhaul when you guys are getting rings and I'm not. I'm just here to supplement and enhance what you guys already have built and have." So I would say that's the biggest difference. Because usually, you get a new coach and that new coach is going to bring his philosophies, his terminology, his style. And that's just not it. No, he has his own style. Absolutely. But, offensive line is a unique position. If you could ask any offensive line coach from Ohio State to Zanesville High School, their philosophy about O-line plays, we're going to be smash mouth, downhill, physical unit. So when he came in and said, we're going to be a smash mouth, downhill, physical unit, everyone was like, okay, that's what we want to be anyway. And so, he didn't come in and be hey, I'm, this great coach, I was offense coordinator at Virginia Tech. We had success, yada, yada, yada. He just came in and said, hey, I'm going to help enhance and supplement what you guys already got working. If you guys got any questions, I'm going to help you. I need you guys to help me. We're going to get this thing rolling together. Versus Coach Fry, he came in and you're trying to get him over the hump. So you're trying different things. You're not really looking for, I wouldn't say feedback, but you're just throwing a whole bunch of things at the wall and seeing what sticks. And now that when Coach Fry finally found that, now Coach Bowen's not going to come in and just peel all that off the wall and try to put his own stuff on the wall. He's just going to keep what's already up there and maybe just add stuff to it instead of trying to restart. So I that's the biggest difference is Coach Bowen's coming in and letting us do our thing versus Coach Fry, who, he had stuff that he felt like he had to implement. I won't say felt like, he had to implement because obviously something was going wrong or we weren't getting the job done. And then, we finally, figured out the recipe to success, and Coach Bowen's just adding to that, not changing it.
Well, and that makes sense too, because Fry replaced someone who was fired, right?
Yeah.
Bowen's replacing someone who was basically, for lack of a better term, promoted.
Exactly.
One more question, and then Chris, you could take it away. I want to build off of that last question. Bowen was, like you said, the offensive coordinator at Virginia Tech last year, and Virginia. I mean, that's a hell of a school, right? That's Virginia Tech.
Absolutely.
That's the ACC. That's no joke, right? When we talk to guys that have, when their positional coach has that offensive coordinator experience, or they are the offensive coordinator, usually the contrast they say is like, yeah, it's wild. Like now, like I spoke to a couple quarterbacks after Chip Kelly got there, and they would tell me, now they're seeing, Chip Kelly would explain things basically like as an umbrella, like this is everything. This is what's going to open up. As before, the coaching was kind of like, all right, your job is this, your job is this, your job is theirs. And obviously, Bowen's not Brian Hartline is running the show on the offensive side, so maybe he's not doing it quite to that extent. But because of his experience as an offensive coordinator running his own offense, is he kind of coaching like that? I mean, is there a difference in how he's explaining things, or is it just kind of cut and paste, very similar to what Fry was offering?
No, so actually, it's funny because it is very similar to what Coach Fry was offering, because Coach Fry did an unbelievable job of explaining that, hey, the reason we're doing, we're running inside zone to the right is so that, when the time comes, we can use that to.
Oh, interesting.
I'm trying to be careful with what I say, but you understand my point. It was an umbrella with both coaches, and it still is. The only thing that is unique is Coach Bowen does have experience being a quarterbacks coach, offense coordinator. Coach Fry, not to my knowledge, I could be wrong. Sorry if I am. Didn't have quite that experience because, at Virginia Tech, his last year, I do believe he coached quarterbacks or helped with them in a big role. So, we met on that too, as far as because we were afraid that, okay, he was going to just be our offensive line coach, but then by fall camp, he'd be basically Coach Hartline's right-hand man, and we'd be stuck without an O-line coach, really. But it's not. It's just because offense is such a integral, it's like a car, If one thing on the car is out of alignment or, not working how it should, there's going to be something wrong with the car. You're going to get a sensor or something. So, Coach Hartline, what he may see, Coach Bowen might see it a little differently, because all the coaches have a lot on their plate. All the co-offense coordinators have a ton on their plate, because they're all coaching their own position too, which is unique. I don't think I've ever seen that in football where every single one of your co or offensive coordinators is coaching their own position group.
Right.
And it adds a unique it adds a unique flavor, if that makes sense, because now it's 3rd and 2, Coach Bowen's going to be like, hey, coach, I know we can go over the top with one of our mini Ferraris that we line up at receiver, but it's still 3rd and 2. We also have horses up front that can, help get the job done too. So I'm not saying that anyone's stepping on anyone's toes or anything, but a second set of eyes never hurt anything, in anything I've ever been a part of.
No, that makes me excited. I don't think that's a criticism at all. I mean, the more experience you have, that gets me excited. And we also we mentioned Marcus Johnson. Is that
yes, Coach Johnson, yes,
who's the offensive line coach at Purdue, who had 2 guys drafted this past year, one very early on. Also a former all SEC offensive lineman himself. And then Charlie Dickey comes over, former offensive line coach at Oklahoma State, who's obviously been no slouch at all with what they do. That's a pretty big uptick in offensive line coach experience.
Yeah.
Compared to what we've seen in recent years. Are they highly involved with what you're doing?
Yeah, absolutely. Very involved. The offensive line, it's a game with inside a game. And, a lot of people don't understand that. They just think, all right, these big dudes got to get in the way. The defense is big dudes. And then, we'll let that's how the magic happens. But people don't understand it's a technical battle every possession, or not even every possession, every play, for both sides. The defensive line, they're trying to get their hands on, swipe, rip, swim, whatever it may be. I wasn't a great defensive lineman, but I played the position at one point. But as far as O-line, we have our hand placements and our hand targets and our hat targets. And, it ain't easy being 6'7", 310, trying to block someone that's running forward towards you as you're running backwards at them, to stop a grown man in his track. It's not easy. So I think Coach Day understood the importance of that and how, a great motto that my dad actually used back when he coached and he had great offensive lines is, you go, we go. If we up front have a great dominant season, it's going to translate into the win-loss column and how everything else looks. If we protect in pass coverage, if we protect in our pass pro, we get downhill, we eat, second level defenders up, linebackers, the running backs are going to rush for 250 plus, the quarterbacks are going to throw for 450 plus, and everything looked good. The minute we don't do that, now all of a sudden, quarterbacks are getting hit, running backs are losing yards, and it's just not pretty. So I think Coach Day really, more than ever, understood that because he saw, what a great offensive line can really do for you. And I'm not saying that Ohio State's ever had a great offensive line. I feel like Ohio State these last 10 years have had really, really excellent offensive lines, players, coaches, etc. But there was a point in the season, you knew it, I knew it, everyone in Buckeye Nation knew it, that they didn't know what we were going to walk out on the field with up front. We didn't know how Donovan would be at left tackle. We didn't know, who was going to be the right tackle. We didn't know who was going to slide in at center, and we didn't know who was going to slide in at guard. And, it got to one point where no one knew who the offensive line was going to be, And then with great coaching, with time, with repetitions, obviously, we dominated some of the best fronts in all of college football at the time. So it didn't happen by accident. So Coach Day saw that and understood that, hey, let's enhance these guys and get them all the help they need and want, and repeat the success that we had from last season.
That's awesome. Yeah.
No, absolutely. Jumping in, Aaron, just subscribe, turn on all notifications. Best OSU podcast around. Aaron, God bless my friend. I'd be remiss if I didn't get a question in by our new biggest fan of the Ohio State in Mind podcast. Question: has there been a big change in the preseason since spring 24 and spring 25?
Yeah, that's there hasn't been a huge change. Without going into too much detail, spring 24, we knew what we had. The pressure was there. A lot of veteran guys. Practice wasn't near as long or near as physical because we knew what we had. Now it was still physical. Don't get me wrong, but as far as we're going to do 24 periods and 17 of them are going to be some type of live contact period. That just wasn't the case. You knew what we had up front on defense. You knew what we had at receiver. You knew what we had at quarterback. Even though we had the battle going on, everyone collectively knew that Will was going to come in and, if he didn't win the job, something was wrong. No offense to Devin. Devin was a great quarterback, but the writing was on the wall, right?
Well, I have to interrupt you. As someone who's an avid autograph collector, okay, and someone who invested heavily in the Devin Brown leaf collection, all right.
Yeah.
my hopes were in the other stack, but it all worked out.
He's going to be one of the best quarterbacks in. I don't know, Cal's in the league now, but whatever Cal has on the schedule, he's going to dominate them.
There you go. Yeah.
Devin Brown's a great quarterback, but it's you don't have to be a sports enthusiast to know that if somebody brings an outsider, when you already have someone that's been in the program for a while,
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure.
No, definitely.
But the difference in that has been versus this year, right? You don't know what you have at quarterback. You don't really know what you have up front on defense. You don't really know what you have even up front on offense because we had some new guys coming up front on offense. So it's been a lot more physical, a lot more, for lack of a better word, chippy. A lot of young guys in a lot of different positions. We're all trying to jockey for position. And, I'm not going to let someone show me up, So if I block you to the whistle and you want to give a little shove to me after, well, guess what? I'm going to shove you back. And ultimately, that leads to some skirmishes here and there because it's just a young team overall, versus last year, we didn't have a young team. We knew the expectations. We knew the goal. It was, all right, let's get out of this safe and healthy and, get to what's important, fall camp, the season. This year, you're trying to figure out who can do what when. This may be saying a little too much, but if so, I'm sorry. But for the first time that I've ever been a part of a spring football practice or been around a spring football practice, we would do a couple periods a day in spring practice where it was live, but not just live as in everyone's live except for the quarterbacks. It was live as in like, put the ball down. If you sack the quarterback and break his leg, oh well, because everyone was live. All three of the quarterbacks were live. Everyone was live. So it got testy and physical in a hurry. And there were a few times where there were a few hits on a few of the quarterbacks where we were like, oh no, we just lost a quarterback. And but that's stuff you have to have, because you have three quarterbacks battling who combined between all of them maybe have 10 competitive collegiate snaps. 10.
No, I mean I wouldn't argue that.
I'll say 40, because I think Lincoln took 30 something in the Cotton Bowl a few years ago.
Well, you said competitive.
That was competitive though.
You're right.
Yeah. So there's not a lot of experience. So like, it's easy. Me and my dad joke all the time. It's easy to run around in shorts and t-shirt and look really, really good and do all the right things. But like when the pads are coming on and that when the D lineman gets close to you, they're not just going to blow a whistle. Like, what's going to happen? You know what I mean?
Right.
You're going to throw it away. You're going to throw it to the defense. You're going to make a great play. Like, because nobody knows that diamonds are made out of coal till they're squeezed.
Ooh, like that. Let me ask you this. Let me ask you this and kind of caveat off of Mom's question there.
Yeah.
The difference between the 24 spring game and the 25 spring showcase.
Yeah, so the 24 spring game, I think we were in like an arms race with like ESPN or something like that about who can get the most ratings for a spring game. And I mean, the product in the field, but everyone knew it was going to be bland, and no one really cared. Let's be honest, no one cared. We knew what we had. Everyone knew what we had. Everyone wanted to see if Jeremiah Smith was for real. Everyone wanted to see what this new and improved offense looked like. And let's be honest, it was two-hand touch. And I mean, it is what it is. But in this year's spring showcase, while we weren't trying to break attendance records by any stretch, I don't even actually remember the game being commercially like advertised until literally the day before. Maybe, I have people hitting me up like the morning of the game asking like, hey, is there a spring game today? Are you guys going out there in full equipment? And literally me answering, I don't know. I don't know. We were told literally the morning of like, hey, we're going to go out there and like do a spring game because that's what the people want. We're like, okay, cool. We were under the impression that like, okay, are we going to go out there and like do tug of war? Or are we going to like, because like a lot of us just thought we were actually just going to go out there and have like glorified practice. Honestly, we did. So the players weren't really excited, but when Coach Day told us in the team meeting early in that morning that, hey, we're going to have a spring game, guys are going to compete, yada, yada, yada. We were very excited to hear that. And it showed. It resembled more of a football game. A lot of stuff was live. You saw a lot of players make great leaps and bounds. You saw some players, maybe not take leaps and bounds. I don't know. I don't know why I said that. Everyone made leaps and bounds forward. But you know what I mean? Like, it was live. It was the real deal. Versus last year, I think we were just trying to maybe schmooze Fox so we could get out of this big noon kickoff BS. There's my one controversial thing for the day.
No, not controversial at all. You, me, Josh, the rest of the chat, not any controversy. Let me ask you this: who are you excited right now? I mean, it's still early in the spring. Do we can still consider it spring, right? Spring.
Yeah, it's still mad.
Who are you excited for the world to see for the first time?
Ooh, for the first time. That's a good question.
It could be for the first time, or it could be for the first time in a Buckeye uniform in that scarlet and gray.
Yeah, or it could be just somebody who is like, maybe not a regular starter that's going to be going to get a lot of snaps, show out,
Jake Bell jumps in and says, hey, he wants to see James, the people's champ.
Yeah, so that's interesting. I do. I was going to say that. That was going to be my answer. I was going to say Milan, but I feel like, that surprise was spoiled.
Right.
Yeah.
But no, I think it's James Peoples for sure. James can do, not to put the pressure on the young man, James could run as fast as Q and cut just like Q, but run with that same physicality and dog mentality. Can run as fast as Trey and cut like Trey, but have that same dog mentality as far as running through people and over people like Q. He is truly a mix of both.
He's looked like he's gained some weight too. I saw him
Yeah.
at an event recently. It looks like he's packed on maybe 10 or 15 pounds. I think I asked him. I think he told me he packed on 10 pounds.
Yeah, I can believe that easily.
Looks like it was all muscle too. So
yeah
I'm very excited for him as well.
You know, again, I cannot ignore a question from Mama Jackson here. Advice for young student athletes aspiring to play collegiate football would be helpful for their parents to know. You're looking down the screen to the parents of these kids.
Yeah. So biggest thing is it has nothing to do with your son's athletic ability. But as a parent, how are you? How are you viewed in the community? What's your digital social media footprint like? Like when someone asks me, hey, tell me a little bit about your mom, tell me a little bit about your dad, what's going to come out of their mouth? And that was a big thing that me and my parents learned in the recruiting process is like, you know, these coaches do so much homework on you. They know what they're getting with you. Even more than what you thought, you know, but they understand that what comes with you is also not their problem, but their responsibility too. So you don't want to take in a kid that mom's going to be on TMZ asking, you know, I want my baby to get paid $4 million a semester, and dad's on TMZ because he wrecked his car into some river somewhere. You don't want that. You know what I mean?
Right.
Go on, Nico.
No shade thrown. But you know, you just don't want that from a kid. You know, you want the kid that you're taking a chance on. You want their parents to, I mean, they don't have to be perfect because no one in this world is perfect, but just be respectable. You know, understand that as a parent, they expect certain things out of you from the kid. You know, we expect certain things from the coaches. Like, you know, it's that fine dynamic. So just like basically what it boils down to, making sure you have a good public image.
Yeah. So I kind of convey what you're saying here. If you're thinking about it, you're not just Julian Goines-Jackson. You are now a direct representation of the Ohio State University. You are a direct reflection, just like, you know, people who, you know, wear a uniform like I do. They're a direct reflection of this establishment, this, that, and third. And their parents are their kids' biggest cheerleaders. So no, absolutely.
And there's a right way and a wrong way to do that. And you know, we've seen some situations in college football where there's definitely the wrong way to do that, but we've also seen a lot of situations in college football where there's a right way to do that, you know. And
look, Chris and I we've been Ohio State fans long enough to know that we remember Annie Apple. So I don't know if you know who that is. I'm not gonna. I don't expect you to. You can Google that if you feel like it. You know who Eli Apple is?
I do know who Eli Apple is.
Okay, well then you know you can do the math there. But yeah, so we're aware that, you know, the parents can run the show a little bit too much. So.
No, absolutely. Doug jumps in and says it's hard to have a cohesive team with a bunch of knuckleheads. Yeah, no, I would agree with you there. So we go to the spring game. We see everyone who's graduated and or declared for the draft get their rings. Do you get your rings before the game or after the game, Julian?
So we got ours actually after the game.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. Very nice.
Awesome.
We got Ben. Hey, Julian, what's your strength and conditioning schedule like each week?
That's a good question, Ben. Me and Ben, he used to train me back in the day before I went all big time, I guess. I gotta get back with you, Ben. I'm sorry. That's my bad. I've been slacking. So a typical week for the Buckeye strength and conditioning. So it depends on what cycle we're in first, right? So what we do in the offseason is not gonna be the same as what we do in the season. Even what we do in the spring is not gonna be the same as what we do in the summer and the winter. So just a quick synopsis, summer, right? Summer is, I'm not gonna lie to you, summer, if you ask any collegiate athlete, football-wise, no matter what level or division, summer's a beast. You know, you're gonna be up, you're gonna be out there on the field at 6 a.m. doing some type of position-specific field work, right? So we have our dynamic warm-up, we're on the field, 20 minutes of like just work with either your coaches, your GAs, or like it's like leader-led position-wise, right? And then we're straight to conditioning, you know, no matter if it's old school conditioning, as far as we're just going to run gassers till someone pukes, or it's, you know, I call it new school conditioning where it's like position specific. So you got offensive linemen pushing sleds. You got receivers running long distance because that's what they do in the game. You know what I mean? You have running backs doing change of direction stuff. You have, you know what I mean? Like position specific. Then Right from the field, no rest for the weary. We're straight in the weight room. We're starting with Team Up North abs. So we have a big old countdown clock in the weight room telling us how many days, hours, seconds, minutes till that Team Up North. And we're doing abs with that. So no matter if it's like a flutter kicks or whatever it may be, some type of ab workout for however many days till we go and beat that Team Up North. Then we're in some type of Olympic lift. Then we're in our main lift. And then we have rotations and stations, and we're constantly lifting with pace. So that way, not only are you getting your conditioning on the field, you're also getting it in the weight room as well.
Oh, yeah.
And the schedule is pretty similar for the spring, minus you have practice. So now you got practice. So you'll practice 3 days out of the week. You'll lift the other 3 days and meet the other 3 days out of the week. And it's the same lifting wise. There's no conditioning field work because we're practicing in that time. And then what some other athletes might argue, winter's also a beast too. The winter is the same way. Now you don't have any field work, but now it's just pure conditioning, trying to either get your bodies back from the season or develop them and get them ready for the spring. And then we're right into the weight room. And then usually after the weight room, we'll do some quote unquote optional field work to get ready for the springtime. And then we have these special workouts in the winter called mat drills. And without going into any detail about what that is, everything you've ever heard, read, seen on the internet is 100% true in some capacity. I don't know if it's as graphic or as vivid as it used to be back in the day, but like you want to talk about looking up to the heavens and asking, what did I get myself into? There have been many times where I've rethought my entire athletic career during a mat drill, but so has every other athlete. So that's sort of what strength and conditioning is like. It's 365. We get 5 weeks off in the entire calendar year. Right. So, it's a constant. Because if you don't do it, you're going to go out there and get hurt. It's not even about being a better football player. They just want you to be safe. And in order to play the game at a high level, that's just stuff you have to do. You know what I mean?
Oh, absolutely.
So it's definitely intense and rigorous, but it's worth it.
You have a much more positive attitude about it than I had. But of course, that's why I didn't make it. But dude, that was you gave me PTSD with that. I'll never forget walking across the campus to go to the football field and knowing the biggest difference from what I remember. I don't know, it's probably different now, but like everything was timed too. Mm-hmm. Like everything was timed. So it was like, if you ran gassers, it was like, okay, you gotta beat this time. You gotta beat this time. You got
22 seconds.
Yeah, man. And I think that because high school, you would run, but it was also like, all right, no one's timing you. Like,
no, we had my dad keeping the time when I was in high school, so I knew we weren't. I know my dad's in there probably mad at me, but I know all your secrets, Dad. That stopwatch didn't work. I know that stopwatch didn't work.
What a damn battery in the thing.
No. That stopwatch didn't work.
Justin says, hey, he's still waiting to try them rings on his fingers.
Man, I'm in Columbus almost every day. You got to come seek me out, brother, man.
Leah Penn, that's so right. Straight A, awesome student.
Yeah. Appreciate that.
I have to get our one of our fans from day one, Will. Hey, what's it like when a Florida player comes in? We've got a new teammate that comes in.
Yeah. So someone who has actually been a new teammate, because I did come in the portal from Youngstown State.
Right.
It's my personal experience, because I'll answer both questions. As far as being that guy that comes in, it's great. At least at Ohio State. I can't speak for anywhere else, but it was great. Actually, one of the first people that I got to talk to when I came in player-wise was Kyle McCord. So me and Kyle, nice. I always have the utmost respect for Kyle. I know Kyle doesn't, necessarily get all love from Buckeye Nation nowadays, but
he should though.
He should. Yeah, he was great. You take away that loss in November, he probably goes down as one of the greats because no one remembers what he did against Notre Dame, and
I know it's a shame.
So on and so forth. It is a shame, but no, great guy. He's one of the first people to introduce me, sort of show me the ropes. Donovan Jackson was another big influence guy. Josh Fryer. So it's really, you get around your coach, you come in, obviously you get a tour of like the entire campus to familiarize yourself from the coaches. And then you're going to get with your position unit and, they're going to introduce themselves and have a meeting and all that good stuff. And then really from there, it's on you. But as far as like the transition's smooth. But as far as being on the team and having other guys come in, it's the same way. You want to get those guys ingratiated and acclimated as quick as possible, because we don't just bring anyone and everyone into the program here at Ohio State. So if you're coming in, you're doing something right in life, on the field, off the field, your parents, whatever it may be, you're doing something right. And we understand that, because Coach Jay, has high expectations and high standards. He's made that clear and concise, not only to us, but in the media. So, there's no hate. There's no like outrage. There's no like, oh my goodness, he's coming to take my job, because at the end of the day, like, we need everyone to go hoist that trophy at the end of the year. Yeah. So, I mean, it's a quick and easy process. Obviously, depending on how social you are, some guys progress at faster rates. And that's not saying that, you don't get acclimated, but, I've seen guys, have lifelong friends, and it's their third day on campus.
Yeah.
I've also seen guys where, they've been on campus for 3 months now, and I'm still trying to figure out if they know my name. So it's just all about, it's just all about how social and how fast we're going to make things work. You know what I mean? But for the most part, 99.9% of guys are the first guy described. By the end of the week, it's like they've been here all their career. So
right. No. I mean, being as let's be real. We're Ohio State. Being a top tier program, a class act, if you would.
Yeah.
Being welcomed and with open arms and being acclimated so quick. That's a godsend. And also, let's not forget this clap back from Dad here. I kept timing my head. He didn't need a stopwatch. We're gonna get one more here, because it kind of caveats off another question I have for you. Will comes back with all this roster turnover. Who are you going to miss the most? And I want to ask also as well, after that spring game, 2 weeks later, you see some of your fellow teammates get wait for their name to get called. Who are you going to miss the most, and who are you the most happy to see get drafted?
Mm-hmm. Well, you guys are probably going to scoff at this answer, but I'm going to miss all of them the most. We've all in some shape,
now I'm
way, or form. Yeah, exactly. in some form, shape, some way, somehow, you have a unique relationship with everyone that left. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
No matter if they're going to hear their name called on draft night, or they're going to go work in real estate, it doesn't really matter. You form these special connections, not only because what we do is extremely uncommon, but just because when you see somebody every day for 2, 3, 4, maybe even 5 years straight, for 3, 4, 5, 6, 8, 9, 10, if we're in fall camp, 24 hours of the day, you're just naturally going to get close with them. You know what I mean? You're going to develop those relationships. So I'm going to miss all of them, and I know that's, who you really going to miss? But no, I'm being serious. I will truly miss all of them, because they all bring something unique into my life that I'll miss not having every day. And as far as who was I most excited to see drafted, that's a tough question. Just because I saw what he has gone through, the scrutiny, the joy, the jubilation. I would say I was most excited to see Donovan go in the first round.
That's awesome.
Oh yeah, great.
I mean, as someone who, him and Josh Fry are the heartbeats of the O-line, really, and that's no diss on Josh Simmons, who I was also grateful to see go to Kansas City. He's great. We talk every day. He's doing well, but to see him, not to put his business out there, right? But, I've seen this man literally be in tears after practice, because, like, you work so hard for something and you're just trying to pull everyone along with you. You just, like, you don't know what to do. You know what I mean? And, when, great leaders, when things are going right, it's everyone else's, like, it's the reason everything's going right is because everyone else. When things are going wrong, it's my fault. And he was always that guy. I can't tell you how many times, he took, ripping after ripping in meetings. Not saying that Donovan was the only one that got ripped in meetings. We all got ripped for one way or another. But, he just took it. And then when he decided that he was going to come back and he didn't know what the future would hold, and then, we had all these changes, not coaching changes, but just personnel changes, scheme changes. It was a lot. And then, I'm sure, I'm not speaking for him, but I'm sure if all that happened to you and you were great as a first round pick, and now you're sitting in your college dorm room trying to figure out, like, man, why am I here right now? You know what I mean? But to see him go through the crucible and figure it out, and then still be a first round draft pick, and just have his moment. That was really special to see.
That's awesome.
Absolutely. No, absolutely. No, I mean, you said it. Hey, we watched as Buckeye faithful. We watched at times. You guys would come out on Saturday night. We wonder, hey, what kind of offensive line we're going to see? What kind of team we're going to see? And then, let's be real. After the dust settled and you hoisted that trophy, we saw both Donovan and Josh Simmons taken in the first round. That speaks to the level of unity you guys came together, and just how much more you progressed and how much you took and build upon throughout the season.
Yeah.
Because believe me, I don't have to tell you, you live it. Everybody and their brother wanted to take their shot here or there at the offensive line, and you guys literally had 2 Buckeyes taken in the first round. You had 32 out of 32 choices. They chose 2 Ohio State offensive linemen. So, I mean, let's be real. The future is bright, and you talk about all these new coaching staff and coaching personnel that are coming in to make it even better. I mean, that makes me – I know it makes Josh feel better. That makes me feel great.
Yeah.
And really
and one more thing, because I'll always have his back for as long as I live. He'll probably never see this, but that's okay. And I think it just speaks volumes to Coach Fry, too, as well.
That was an insult to us, Julian.
What do you mean?
You'll never see this because you guys suck. Your podcast is tiny. But
that's not what I meant. I just meant that Coach Fry is someone who, no, you're good. Coach Fry, I've never seen one man in my life that I personally got to see on a day-to-day basis, right, take so much scrutiny from people that had no idea what was going on. And, I watched him, his family go through absolute hell, to get to where he's at now. And then, when the dust is settled, like you said, he produced, if you're not going to count Paris and DeJuan and Luke, right? If you're not going to count them, if you're going to count those as Coach Studs guys, whatever. But he produced a Remington Trophy winner.
Yeah.
2 first-round draft picks.
Yeah.
And hoisted a national title.
Yeah.
Not bad for someone who should have been fired, people said 2-3 years ago.
Yeah. No, you're absolutely right. No, that is actually a really good perspective to think about. That.
And I know Coach Fry will never see this because Coach Fry had 2 phones when I was at Ohio State, right? He had 2 phones, and I never saw him use them because he's just not that's just not him.
Well, but you're also saying he had twice the opportunity to subscribe to the Ohio State of Mike podcast.
He did. But coach, you know how some people will be like, yeah, I have social media, but I don't run it. Coach Fry truly doesn't run his own social media.
Sure.
I saw that firsthand. I'm sure he's not the only coach, but I saw that firsthand. And so I just know he'll never see this because dude's just off the grid. He's just a true ball lover. He just wants to coach ball and go home and play with his kids and his dog and his wife. That's all he wants to do.
He's got something in common with Chris. Chris is a big ball lover too.
But hey, Julian, can you ask Matt Patricia if you can borrow his pencil?
Man, I would.
Does Coach Patricia still rock the pencil behind the ear?
Yeah, the pen in the ear. Yeah,
pen
pencil.
Now?
Yeah.
Okay.
If you get that, Chris loves Matt Patricia. He has a custom Matt Patricia sweater. If you can get that pencil, dude, I will pay you money for that pencil so I can send it to Chris, dude.
I am a New England Patriots fan. I am a Matt Patricia fan. Yeah.
I think I can get that arranged.
He's gonna lie. He's just gonna go buy. He's gonna go buy
it. No, I couldn't. That wouldn't sit right on my soul. That would not sit right on my soul if I just bought a pencil and gave it to you. Because that did flash in my mind, but that wouldn't sit right.
Yeah.
Well, that would make my year. But looking at the year moving forward, of course, hey, here's Doug again. Hey, I'm happy for Coach Fry. How could we not? And of course, Mom jumps back in. Hey, she's taking receipts. So we're looking ahead. We're looking ahead next year. I'm going to put you on the spot right now. Quick, how many days until Texas?
Ooh, I don't know. Sorry. We've been on. Listen. We've been on break, and I'm not even gonna lie to you. Outside of my workouts and outside of just the 10 to 15 minutes I look at our playbook. I've completely escaped from Ohio State football because that's what Coach Day wants us to do. Because when we get back, you want 100% focus. But I don't know. You know what? I've done literally everything except for Ohio State football stuff related. Like I golf,
Good.
I
Hey,
do
awesome.
homework, working on
That's
internships. Like, you know,
Love
just
it.
so I couldn't tell you. I'm sorry. Sorry, Buckeye Nation. I'm sorry.
So
No,
now,
It's awesome.
where you are in your your degree plan here, where are you towards the you said criminal justice yourself? Are you towards like being able to do internships like that, or in the field in a sense? Okay.
Yeah, I'll actually do one this summer. So summer for us runs from the second week of May until the like third or fourth week in July. So I'll do an internship, criminal justice related, over our little summer cycle that we do to finish up my criminal justice degree in December.
Very nice. Very,
awesome,
very
dude.
nice.
Yeah.
Other than so we've got this time off. We're going to get our school right. What's the next big football related event for you? What's on that calendar that you're looming at across the room at night? You're like, oh, this is coming.
May 12th, the first day back.
Okay, there it is.
Yep. Yeah, because there's going to be, I mean, it's just human nature. There's going to be some guys that come back that did their offseason homework, and there's going to be some guys that come back that didn't quite do their offseason homework. You know, you don't want to be one of those guys that didn't do the offseason homework because you'll quickly be exposed for that.
Ooh, yeah. Ooh-wee. Last question for me, and then Josh, you go ahead and take it home. When it comes to how do I want to say this? Josh, go ahead. I gotta think of a way to word this here.
No, man, I'm looking. I got a screaming baby behind me, and I'm looking at the clock. We've held Julian for over an hour.
Wow, we have, haven't we?
What? I have nothing to do over this time. Like it's 6 Saturday and Sunday. It's great. Like if you guys want to talk, like please,
bro.
do.
We will. I love having you back on the show. We're gonna have to have you back on before the season goes too for a nice kickoff. Sure. Unfortunately, it's I know last time I think we talked for like an hour after we shut the show down too.
Yeah.
But, I got a baby now, bro. So my
life. Congratulations! Yeah, congratulations.
Yeah, congratulations.
Hey, listen, babies are great. Terrible twos, then they'll become teenagers, But
dude,
then,
he's cool now, man. 5 months.
Yeah,
the first 3 months. Woo. Whoo,
yeah.
He when he gets sick and stuff, he don't sleep. But 5 months, he's got a little personality and stuff. So it's not. I was bitching to Chris constantly about him the first 3 months, but he's pretty chill now. But
I got lucky enough. I skipped the terrible twos and just went straight to unsufferable 13s. But let's close with this. Julian asked Josh who his new favorite Browns quarterback is. Josh is
I'm not a Browns fan, so I don't care. Who they, baby? Who they?
Will go check out the Barking Dogs podcast. I was on last night. I actually defended Dylan Gabriel, believe it or not. Dylan Gabriel on that podcast.
Oh boy.
So yeah, Julian, you're probably not aware, but I bitched about Dylan Gabriel
all year.
Yeah, was it every
all
week
season.
though? It was
every week.
I'm not in the business of slandering guys. Uber talented quarterback, no matter what school he was at. But he was West Coast kid coming to play in the AFC North. I don't know about that.
My issue was that he was in college he was Tommy Boy, and I had to listen to everybody talk about it. As a fan, you're probably I know that you're disconnected. A lot you guys try to keep disconnected and all that. But yeah, it was very annoying as a fan to be like, "God, I hate Dylan Gabriel. 3 colleges."
It's so funny because me and my dad, like, we'll go and we love to do this thing where we have our own draft and we'll draft like who teams should take, and obviously we focus on our own teams.
Oh, for sure.
And as much as slack and slanders I've given my dad on this podcast, I'll throw him a bone here. My dad, since 2007, has drafted the greatest roster I've ever seen for the Cleveland Browns ever. He would have taken Julio Jones. He still would have taken Joe Thomas. He would have taken all these guys. And I'm not talking about, I would have taken Tom Brady #1 overall. No. I'm talking like there were like picks like in the 2nd, 3rd, 4th round that he like nailed. He's like, yeah, if we take this guy, watch, like he'll be a star. And then like obviously they became stars. Like, in I think it was 2012 maybe. He was like, yeah, like we should take like the Browns should definitely take a guy like Cam Chancellor.
Oh, wow. Yeah, your dad did call it, dude.
Dad called it right down the middle. He called several other things too. But I'm just saying, dude's a wizard. Browns, maybe you should hire him. I don't know. You got all those front office positions. Obviously, they don't seem that useful because every pick you've taken stinks.
That's a fact. That's a fact. But,
Except for Joe Thomas. They hit it right on the head with Joe Thomas. I'll give you that.
With Myles Garrett.
And Myles Garrett. And so two in what, 15 years? That's
and Johnny Manziel, because the stories alone were worth the pick. The stories alone were worth the pick.
That's right. He reminds me of I don't know if you guys ever watched like Blue Mountain State.
Oh yeah.
He was Blue Mountain State up and down.
Oh yeah.
By the way, great show. Hope it comes back. Huge Fat Castle fan. Come on now.
Love it, dude. I love Larry. Larry's my favorite.
Ooh, okay.
We're gonna close it up, but I'm gonna also say, hold on, where we're at here.
Oh.
We're I'm gonna have to release you off here. You have to go there and face mom. She said, watch
I
your
know.
mouth, son. Go Browns.
I know I'm gonna get a mouthful. I know I'm gonna get a mouthful. I just know I'm gonna get a mouthful.
Josh was courteous enough to me. He had an extra set of the On It cards, and I do own a Julian Goines-Jackson card.
Hey.
So, awesome. But you have something coming up as well here this weekend?
No, if you're referring to when I speak, it's in a few weekends. Not this weekend.
It's in a few weekends. Okay.
Yeah.
And then you're going to be at Varsity Collectibles again next month. Is that right?
Next
month. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So we'll definitely pump that up on the show. Anybody who wants to check out Julian again, he's going to be signing autographs at Varsity Collectibles. Follow him on X. What is your handle again, Julian? For the
it's Julian G Jack 2022. I'll type it in the chat.
You've got someone running your social media too, don't you?
Yeah, sort of. I actually do. Yeah. Shout out my dad. But yeah.
Yep.
I will.
It says 15th Zane State Speak.
Yeah.
There you go.
I will be speaking at Zane State on the 15th, and nothing necessarily even football related, but I'm a huge man of my faith, and I've always been that way, even before I got to Ohio State. And so I'll be speaking on my faith and my journey as far as how it relates to football terms. I'm sure that will pop up because football is definitely a part of my journey. But just my walk in my faith and how that shaped me to be the person I am today. So.
Do you have a link to that event that we can share on the YouTube channel or anything?
Actually, yeah, I do. Hold on. Give me 2 seconds.
Well, I'd be remiss to say that, hey, Dad didn't need a stopwatch back then, and he doesn't need a calendar either now.
Correct.
Dad's
on
all over it.
Yeah, Dad's on it.
But if anybody's interested after the show, or anybody's interested, we are going to put we're going to post the link that Julian provides us on the YouTube channel, as well as I'll share it on my X and on my Facebook page as well too. So, but I'll probably be there to check it out.
I appreciate that. Seriously.
No, absolutely. And Julian, it wouldn't be me if I wasn't willing to stir the pot a little bit. Justin comes in, hey, I need one of those cards. Lisa comes back, says, oh, I need one too. And then Leslie jumps and says, she's got one. What are we doing? What are we doing?
Come to Varsity Collectibles. And our boy was basically giving them out for free at Varsity Collectibles. Yeah.
Don't worry, guys. At our next family gathering, I'll have a bunch to just hand out.
Really? That's awesome. Yeah, that's cool.
Chad, we'll have him on anytime that he's willing, and especially we appreciate you allowing him to use your Wi-Fi.
Yeah, his Wi-Fi. Correct. His Wi-Fi, his kitchen table, his house, his heat, his clothes.
Yeah, there you go.
Everything.
All of it.
Yeah.
All of it.
He actually had to go fetch the rings out of said undisclosed location so I could even wear them on the show. So shout out to him for that too.
Smart, buddy.
As an insurance adjuster, get those babies scheduled ASAP.
Already done. Way ahead of you.
Brilliant. Good job.
Very nice. Well, for the Ohio State of Mind podcast, I'm Chris. You can find me at CRunyon15 on X. Josh?
Yeah, man. Follow me on X at Josh Keatley16. Again, go check out the Barking Browns podcast. We went over the Browns draft class. I was a guest on there talking about Quinshawn Judkins from good guys, knowledgeable guys. And then once again, thank you a lot, Julian, for coming back on. We'll definitely have you on before the season. You know you can come on whenever you want, dude. Very excited for you. Very excited for your future. And good luck at your internship, brother.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Good luck to all of it. And of course, and look, man, now mom's even
Now
got the
mom's
time when
on
the
it.
doors open. Like, hey,
Yeah.
we need to collaborate in this household, boss.
Exactly.
But for the High State of Mind podcast, I'm Chris. He's Josh, national champion Julian Goines-Jackson. We hope to see you again real soon. Take care, Julian, and of course,
Yes, sir.
as always, go Bucks.